Hello, comic lovers. Welcome to the third episode of The Boys comic series. In the previous episode, you saw Billy Butcher, with the help of Rayner and the CIA, set out on a path to rebuild the Boys team. We get an introduction to each team member one by one. And lastly, Butcher goes to a man named Wee Hughie, whom he wants to keep as a new recruit in his team and convinces him to join his team. Now, moving forward, in the first scene, we see the luxurious headquarters of the Seven team along with a voice that says, "I can't believe it. I didn't think you would be here." Then another voice says, "You are the new member of our team. Why wouldn't I be here?" To which the first voice responds, "Because you are Homelander." The second voice then replies, "John, and I don't think everyone calls you Starlight either." We then see that the two voices belong to Homelander and Starlight, where Homelander has come to welcome Starlight on her first day joining the Seven team. Responding to Homelander's comment, Starlight says, "My real name is Annie January." Homelander replies, "Welcome to the Seven, Annie." Starlight goes on to say, "I still can't believe I'm a part of the Seven." In response, Homelander says, "Well, I'm not surprised at all. Maybe I was amazed by your performance. We rarely give newcomers a chance to join the Seven because we can't take any risks at all." To this, Starlight says, "I can understand. Please don't think I'm not taking everything seriously, but I've always been a fan of yours." Homelander responds, "You're embarrassing me." Starlight then says, "Oh, I'm sorry." She continues, "This place is really nice. I mean, in Des Moines, where I was on the Young Americans team, there was nothing like this. In fact, sometimes we had to meet at my aunt's apartment." Homelander then asks, "Will you miss your old team?" Starlight shyly replies, "Yes, I will miss them." Homelander inquires, "Is there any special person there?" Starlight answers, "Yes, Drummer Boy. He was also on our team. We actually met in the Caves of Christ." Homelander then says, "That's good." By then, the two of them reach the hall where the Seven sit and have their meetings. Upon seeing it, Starlight says, "So this is the place where..." When Homelander cuts her off mid-sentence and says, "Yeah, sit down and relax. You've earned this seat for yourself." Starlight happily says, "I can't believe I'm here. I know this is temporary." Just then, Homelander interrupts her again and says, "Yeah, we did say at the beginning that you're a temporary member, but if I'm being honest, I don't think Lamplighter is ever coming back, so I think you'll get all kinds of trophies here in different bottles after winning." To which Starlight says, "Yeah, I've fought a few battles before, but I never liked this thing. I always want to spread peace, not win over someone." Then Homelander says, "I told you, Annie, you deserve this. You've worked hard for it." So Starlight goes on to say, "Yeah, that's true. Now I have everything I thought about working with the Seven. I mean, where else can a super person go from here?" Then Homelander says, "There's just one final test left that you have to pass, and I know you'll do very well in that too." Starlight looks at Homeland happily, but suddenly, instead of happiness, fear appears on her face, and we see Homelander standing in front of Starlight, taking off his pants. Then the scene changes, and we are shown a building where a man is repeatedly shouting, "Lunch! Lunch!" which makes Hughie, who is standing nearby, a little surprised. Just then, we hear the voice of another man who says, "Hughie, what the hell are you doing here?" Then we see that the one asking the question is none other than Butcher. So Hughie hesitates a bit and replies, "I found this place in the guidebook, and it was quite cheap too." To which Butcher says, "Yeah, it must have been absolutely cheap, but do you know you're standing in South Bronx at this time?" Then Butcher points to a car and says, "Come on, get in the car." After getting in the car, Hughie tells Butcher, "I don't know why, but I like this place. It's filled with different kinds of people, but yeah. I also read about this place that it's a troubled neighborhood." To which Butcher explains, "Yeah, that means good people don't live here, and there's more bloodshed ahead." And then Butcher looks at the driver and says, "Take the West Side Highway." Then Butcher asks Hughie, "How was your flight?" Hughie says, "Yeah, it was okay, but immigration is a headache. I was standing there for hours for immigration." Then Butcher says, "Oh yeah, sorry, that was my fault, mate." And then Butcher throws a passport towards Hughie and says, "Here, you've been a US citizen since last week." So Hughie says nervously, "Mr. Butcher, I haven't decided yet." When Butcher cuts him off mid-sentence and says, "Just call me Butcher. Mr. Butcher makes me feel like my dad. And anyway, most of our flights are with the Air Force, which comes in handy for us, even though we have to come with bound Pakistanis in exchange." Hughie says, "That's scary." To which Butcher replies, "Yeah, it is, but that's how it works here. If you want to light a fire, you have to play with matches." The scene changes, and we're back at the Seven's headquarters, where Starlight is confused and frightened by Homelander's behavior. Homelander tells her, "Suck it." Starlight, startled, asks him, "What's gotten into you? What are you doing?" To which Homelander replies, "I just want to have a little fun and improve communication between us." As Starlight tries to leave, she says, "You can't do this." Suddenly, a voice is heard from outside, and Starlight looks out and says, "Thank God you guys are here." Then we see Black Noir and A-Train standing outside. Upon seeing them, Starlight shouts, "I don't know what happened here, and I think someone is controlling Homelander." Just then, we see Black Noir and A-Train take off their pants, just like Homelander, which scares Starlight even more. She says, "Are you guys going to force yourselves on me now?" Homelander steps forward and says, "No, no one is going to force you to do anything. The question is, how badly do you want to join the Seven?" Starlight, crying, says, But you guys are the Seven. But this is all completely disgusting. It's against everything you fight for. You guys are Earth's mightiest heroes. You bring justice to everyone. You save innocent people. You are the Seven." In response, Homelander says, "Yes, absolutely, and right now we're in the mood for some fun." Starlight angrily retorts, "Go to hell." Homelander replies, "Well, in that case, get ready to go back to your old team." And so, despite not wanting to, Starlight has to comply with their demands. The scene changes once again, and we see Frenchie, and the female being introduced by Butcher. First, shakes hands with Hughie. Then Frenchie shakes hands with Hughie and tells him about the historic relationship between Scottish and French people, making Hughie understand how good of friends they can become, to which Hughie agrees. After that, Frenchie extends his hand to shake hands with the female, but Frenchie stops him, saying not to give his hand to the female like that. And Butcher also tells Hughie from behind that it wouldn't be a good idea, friend. Butcher then tells everyone that they have now met the new boy, and it's time to start working, but Hughie raises his hand and says, "But I haven't yet." Butcher ignores him and continues, saying that first of all, this won't be like last time. Butcher further explains that this time, they will work directly under the presidential directive, which means they will have Dakota Bob's support. It also means that this time they won't have to worry about the budget or be held accountable for putting any sups in the hospital, and there won't be any lousy subcommittees. Then says that the first thing is that this place is lousy, so they need to find people who can turn this place into a proper office. Seriously, how can they work from this place? In response, Butcher says, "Come on, this place is a New York classic. Look out the window and you'll get that Fifth Avenue feeling." Replies that it's definitely classic from the outside, but quite terrible from the inside. Butcher then says, "Okay, I'll give this job to Monkey," but Frenchie interrupts him, saying, "Excuse me, but the female wants to order a pizza." Hearing this, Butcher playfully scolds the female, saying, "You didn't have lunch? How many times have I told you to take care of yourself?" Meanwhile, Hughie also asks if he can use the toilet while they're taking a break. Butcher responds, "No, I mean there is a toilet, but it needs plumbing work done first." Upon hearing this, says, "See, these are the things I was talking about. I'm calling Monkey right now." After that, calls Kessler and Frenchie calls the pizza service. Butcher and Hughie stand to the side, and Butcher says, "This is a headache." Hughie asks, "What?" Butcher continues, I know we can't work without him, but his drama gives me a headache." Hughie then asks about the other two and what they do. Butcher says, "I thought you would say yes out of excitement and curiosity, but now it seems we really need to get some work done on this place." Hughie responds, "Yeah, I've been wanting to say this for a while, but you..." Just then, comes back, interrupting Hughie's conversation again and tells Butcher that the work will be done by tomorrow. After that, goes to Hughie and says, "I'm really sorry about what happened to your girlfriend. We just met and we haven't had much chance to talk yet." Hughie replies, "Thank you." And from the side, Butcher says, "We'll have more opportunities to talk now." Then we go back to the Seven's headquarters, where Starlight's condition worsens after vomiting in the washroom. But in the washroom, she sees Queen Maeve and tells her, "Queen Maeve, the Empress of the Other World, I never thought I would get a chance to meet you. I've been following you since I was a little girl. I've always wanted to be just like you. I know I'm talking a lot, But you are one of the greatest women out there. You are an inspiration to all girls. To which Queen Maeve replies, "Darling, how wonderful, how lovely, how gratifying." Just as Starlight is about to say something, Queen Maeve ends her sentence by telling Starlight, "Fuck off," and walks away from there. In the next scene, we see many photos attached to a board, and we hear Butcher's voice from behind saying, "Teenage kicks." Then we find out that the photos on the board are of the members of a teenage superhero group. The members of this group are Big Game, Shout Out, Pop Law, Whack Job, Gunpowder, Jetstick, Dognot, and Blarney Ook. Butcher tells the other members of the boys, "We'll start by giving a warning shot. It won't be too heavy or too public, just enough for the soups to know that we're back, and these soups will be the first ones we attack." Butcher further explains, "Some of you may know about them, but there's no harm in hearing it again. So, Teenage Kicks and Young Americans are groups of teenage superheroes. As far as image goes, the Young Americans are more of an old-fashioned, nice-as-pie type, while Teenage Kicks consider themselves to be a bit more wrong side of the tracks. You know, a bit more G-Nex type. They may not be very bad, but they've made some mistakes, and the Seven are always on the lookout for new recruits like these." Then, pointing towards Hughie, Butcher says, "Your culprit, A-Train, was also a part of Teenage Kicks." Hughie remarks, "Wow, this is a famous group, but they're not very well liked. Even some of the older soups think they're going a bit too far beyond the limit. So whatever we do won't make much of a difference. You get what I'm saying, right?" To which MM says, "Meaning, even if we break a few bones of 2 or 3 of them, it won't create much of a fuss." Butcher laughs and says, "Exactly." Butcher goes on to say, "Sometimes when I look at these soups, I think they're all the same. All bastards, and their true colors come out whenever they take off their mask of goodness. And that's where we, the boys, come in because handling them is our department. So now you all know what you have to do. Hughie, you'll come with me. The rest of you, do your homework and remember the 7 PS." Hughie, a bit confused, asks, "7 what?" And Frenchie explains, "Proper preparation and planning. Prevent piss-poor performance." After this, we see all the members of the boys looking towards the board. If you enjoy reading comic books and want to access the correct reading order for the boys' comic book issues, the link is in the description where you can find all the comic issues of the boys series. This was the Boys Comic Issue 3 Cherry Part 1. If you liked this video, please like, share, and leave your feedback, suggestions, or any ideas in the comments. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. So thank you for watching, comic lovers. See you in the next video.